So, good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our eminent speakers and guests. So, as a counselor, when students speak to me today, the questions they ask are no longer just which college is best. They are asking, what should I study? Where should I study? And most importantly, how do I build a future that actually works for me? So, here, higher education today is no longer a single decision or a linear pathway. It is a global, hybrid, interdisciplinary, and deeply influenced by industry needs, technology, and changing career landscape. So, this session is not about promoting one country or one university or just one model, but it's all about helping students and families to make that informed, realistic, and future ready choices. So, I'm very privileged to have with us today leaders from central, global, as well as private universities and the industry who will share what is actually changing on the ground. I look forward to a practical, candid conversation, one that cuts through noise and focuses on outcomes. So let's set the mood by asking Gaurav the first question. So, Gaurav, recent global employer surveys suggest that 40 to 50% of the core job skills are expected to change within the next 5 years, driven largely by AI, automation, and sustainability led transformation. At the same time, nearly 70% of the employers report difficulty hiring for critical thinking, adaptability, and problem solving, even when the degrees are strong. So, from an industry perspective, how are global employers redefining employability today, and which skills now matter most beyond the formal qualifications?
So, first and foremost, I want to thank everyone at FiciFlo and Niharika for inviting me to this webinar, and with the esteemed panelists. So with respect to your question on employability today, it's really important that students have the ability to learn, relearn, adapt, and contribute meaningfully. So that's really at the essence of it all. And then the way we think about it is some are non-negotiables, which is beyond the degrees. So we have things like structure,
Sorry to interrupt you, Gaurav, but I think you need to speak a little louder. People are having a problem hearing you. So can you just adjust your mic, please?
Yeah, is this okay?
Yeah, this is much better.
Yeah, we can hear you. I mean, I could hear you.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, great. So then, under the ability to learn, when we have a group that we like to talk about is non-negotiable. So structured thinking and clarity of communication is really, really important. Through the education pipeline, we've been taught to write long and deep, but the real world requires it to be complete yet brief and clear. Then there's collaboration, that's really important, coachability, so taking feedback. And what's really important in industry and specific to kind of manufacturing or chemical side is the ethics, safety, and compliance mindset. So these are kind of what we call the non-negotiables. But underneath that, what are standout candidates? Someone who's provided evidence of applied learning. So, for example, internships are really important. Somebody who's worked on the floor shop, if it's manufacturing, or on the labs on the lab side. So you can connect theory with actual business need. AI is the other big piece. No conversation's complete without it. As far as AI is concerned, a lot of people talking about it being a bubble, maybe on the investment side, but it's absolutely critical. It's transforming industries and the world at large. I'd like to call it the computer impact of the 1990s in today's world. So most people still use ChatGPT more like an output and using it as is, but the layers below AI have things like prompt engineering, a prompt discipline, verifying confidentiality of the data. And people fear AI thinking that it's going to replace people, replace humans, but we've heard enough of it. It doesn't. It actually augments people's capability. In fact, a couple of days back on the Economic Times, there was an article on AI and its use cases, which is increasing exponentially in industry. So companies like L&T and Godrej, some of the others, are now using it in their work streams across their groups. And AI is such a big space. Recently at Davos, also our Union Minister, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, spoke about the 5 layers, and as far as 5 layers of architecture, which covers application, model, chip, energy, and infra. And India is investing billions and billions of dollars into this entire space. So it's really important. We feel that that students and candidates have an in-depth understanding, or at least a segue into AI and its applications, because it's really going to be important going forward. And the last thing is more on the individual front. It's really important that incoming students have that patience and resilience and the grit, because most want to enter into a brand and expect output upfront. But spending that time, patience and resilience and grit earlier on, getting your feet on the ground, that a learning mindset will pay off multifold in form of growth, both professional growth as well as learning.
So I think, so what you're trying to tell me here is, Gaurav, that adaptability and learning capabilities are becoming more important than just labels. It's your drive, it's your passion, your desire to learn that is essential. And that's when I want to ask Mario this question, is that how has the profile of the ideal international student changed to fit in this AI era and the post-pandemic landscape? So how are you reviewing these students for admissions, considering these factors?
Thank you so much, Niharika. Let me also thank on my side Fiki and President Poonam Sharma for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here. Also thank my dear colleague, our
Right,
rep
everyone's so sorry.
in India, Rich Agrawal. So yes, it changed a lot. Obviously, I copy what has been said before. It's a different world now. What we've seen throughout the years is more and more students trying to get in out of their comfort zone. So trying different things, trying to think about possibility of studying beyond the borders of their country. More and more. Of course, the pandemic has been, a couple of years where everything was more difficult. But then after that, I think people got new energy in terms of willing of doing different things. So what we experience all over the world is more and more students, but also their parents, who are considering opportunities that before were not considered. Also, the international, let's say, landscape has been changing a lot in the recent years, not only because of the pandemic. And as an example, Europe has become one of the popular destinations for students from Asia, from India, from Africa, from Latin America, a bit more than before. And we're experiencing this change. And to be honest, I think it's something positive, because students may decide to stay in their hometown, in their comfort zone, but at the same time, others may find opportunities, and then after being abroad for a while, come back and do their career in their own country. And I think these possibilities are there. I've seen throughout my years at Bocconi, I've been in Bocconi for many years now, over 20 years, 25, and I've seen a development of these opportunities all over the world for students, being them possibility of studying abroad, possibility of enrolling in a different university. And to me, the international students, as it was like a few years ago, is now very different. It's now much more common. It's now that people are less worried in taking this opportunity rather than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I see a positive effect at the end of the day.
Insight, Mario. I can see that this trend is also becoming very increasingly visible in India. So let me ask our other panelists what they feel about this. So this is to you, Dr. Venkatramanan. When industry speaks about adaptability and foundation in cognitive skills as well as knowledge, how is your university redesigning the curricula, especially with AI and sustainability and interdisciplinary learning, to prepare the students for this reality? How is your university taking it forward?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Fortunately, we went through a massive curriculum review and experiential learning review last year with this in mind. So if you look at it, the Flame University started as the first liberal education-based university. So we had the DNA from the beginning for an interdisciplinary approach so students can connect the dots, so to speak. I mean, given my background, I went with complete only scientific side of knowledge. And then when I have to start managing people and things of that nature, I have to learn these things on my own. So what we have done is predominantly for the programs, we expect every student to go with the undergraduate level, at least 2 experiential learning experiences. One is working with a nonprofit at the end of their first year. We call it DAP. I don't want to explain the acronyms given the time, this thing. And the second one is for the internship program. We ensure we place all 600 plus undergraduate students and 200 plus graduate students and ensure they will have, they'll be ready because as our first guest put it, if you go on an internship, you learn a lot. It's not only the topic, how to work in a work environment as well as the people, how to manage or how to work with people. The second thing we have done in this is we have created something called academies, which completely throughout the semester, it's a co-curricular career academies, we call them. So that also influences every week. All the students get to hear some industry expert talking to our students with some immersive experiences on each quarter for about 2-3 days. And finally, what we have done is we have got like AI preparatory work in a lot of different fields. That every field will have at least an AI course tailored for them, how it impacts. They may not use AI in the course in some cases, but still they will learn like how it is going to affect their what they are going to do. And we try to keep it at a very generic level because as everybody knows, AI changes every other day very quickly. There is always another new release and soon they will say they don't need pro vice chancellor. Some AI will do pro vice chancellor's job quickly or something to that effect could happen. That is the rapid level of preparation. So we go back to the fundamentals to say, go take your courses from 5 different universe of knowledge and then try to get one major and one minor. Typically, I tell them, do one for your heart and one for your mind or one for your parents, whichever the way it goes in the undergraduate level, because everybody wants employability, but at the same time, we know the breadth is what really contributes to the long term. Because every experts in the world say these students graduating now will go through at least 10 career changes. Unlike me, I only went through one. So we prepare them for that. And I do think like the students and students receive it well. We try to also educate the parents because we tell them this is like a long-term, what I call it as a boat type career preparation. You start out broad and then you kind of have a major in your career. You start out in the narrow, your expertise, and then in the end, you need to know the other thing. So those are the initiatives we have done, and also to internationalize them, we ensure in the graduate programs, every students have a global experience in addition to our courses.
Yes, Doctor, we are going to move on to the global exposure a little later, but I would like to build on this and ask Mr. Ali Imran to expand on what Ashoka is doing about the same thing on just adaptability and preparing the students. Do you know in the US, a lot of universities are making AI mandatory as a curriculum across the board in the university? So understanding that digital literacy is the call of the hour, Mr. Ali Imran, I would like to ask you, how is Ashoka taking this forward?
Thank you, Niharika. Oh my God, there's a lot of noise. Thank you, Niharika. Thank you to Poonam ma'am, and great to be here with this panel. I think Professor Venkatraman already kind of illustrated the approach that universities are taking. But I do want to say that as far as being adaptable is concerned, it goes with the educational approach that Ashoka has. And it has had right from the beginning. We are actually the youngest university here, and in that sense, we've been quite precocious. We're precocious toddlers in this field. But we've always had the approach of adaptability, of changing quickly, of having a curriculum which is suited to the market. So if you ask me, preparing students for the AI world is actually easier than getting faculty to agree to use AI or to understand AI. And I think my fellow university people will agree with this. I think essentially our approach, Niharika, has always been, and when I joined, which was almost 10 years ago, our approach was, you don't need to know all the answers, right? So when I joined, which was 2016, a professor told me, I actually want students who are comfortable on the left side of the question mark. Our educational system in school prepares them to always seek the answer which is on the right side of the question mark. I want students who can ask the right questions. And that's something that even Gaurav talked about. When you join the real world and when you start working, you need to be able to ask the right questions. Now, should we share the application? Sorry, I think, can we just silence them? So essentially, what is key to AI at this point? All of us who are dabbling with it, some of us deeper, some of us more shallow, know that AI is actually about the prompt that you give to the system, to the model. And what is a prompt? A prompt is the ability to ask the right questions. So as far as I'm concerned, and as far as we are concerned, this is something that we've been teaching our students right from the first day, right? So I think as far as our students are concerned, therefore, they're very much equipped to ask the right questions and also to address the problem using more than one kind of thinking, which also a couple of the panelists have talked about. As far as incorporating it in the functioning of the university is concerned, I think on the administrative side, we are doing it quite heavily already. And without losing the human side, I think that's the balance. And on the academic side as well, I will tell you that even our history faculty have understood the power of what it can do for them. Initially, of course, the academics will always wonder what it is that AI can add to them, but once you demonstrate it to them, they do understand. So I think this is an ongoing review process, but it is being embedded in every part of the university. And I don't think it's an option. You have to do it. So we are doing it. At the same time, we don't want to lose the edge, which is the human edge, which is the inputs that our professors give to our students, which is not mechanical. And that is how our approach is. As Professor Venkatraman said, this is something which is happening every day. So we have to keep up and we have to be on our toes. I don't think it's a one-time solution, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ali, about this. But we're not just talking about AI in today's role. We're also talking about preparing capable students for, as Gaurav said, non-negotiable skills like problem solving. You have you have problem solving, analytical, logical reasoning, communication skills, etc., which are ability to work in teams, leadership, which makes them more apt for the industry. So it is a combination of these cognitive skills with technology, or we can say digital literacy, which makes them, I think, more employable, if I am not wrong.
So actually, sorry, Niharika, if I may come in. I think when Poonam ma'am was speaking, I wanted to tell her that I don't have much to say because you've already described, ma'am, what our students are all about. So communication, collaboration, creativity, and working in teams is really what we are teaching them. And, as an illustration, Ashoka is compulsorily residential. We don't have any day scholars. So wherever you come from in India or abroad, when you come to Ashoka, we will make sure that in the first year, you will not room with your best friend. You will room with somebody who's completely different from you. We will make sure that your learning takes place at least 50% outside the classroom. You will interact with all kinds of points of view. And there you will have to make your point of view heard. You will learn how to work with people in groups. And definitely when we see our students in industry, all employers tell us that their communication skills and their ability to think from different points of view is what differentiates them. So I was actually very thankful to Poonam ma'am for doing half the work, for me, because that's what I would have said about how we do things with our students.
This shift away from this narrow academic perfection raises a very important point about the foundation students already built closer to home. So for this question, I would like to ask Professor Jha that in an increasingly competitive global education environment, what strengths do central universities continue to offer our students?
Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me. Central University, of course, we know that it's heavily subsidized by the government and by UGC, that is the arm which is there for higher educations. So, ma'am, first of all, I think when we talk of private universities, the first thing is which Central University is serving the society is affordability is a major pillar on which Central University's education is there. And affordability does not mean that we have to compromise with the quality. So central universities are making their students ready. We have revised the curriculum. We have NEP 2020, which is talking about all the aspects which we were discussing, which the speakers have talked about in their universities. We are talking about multidisciplinarity. We are talking about adaptability. We are also trying to develop communication skill because NEP is it's talking about continuous assessment, which was not heard of till few years back in Central University system. So when we have continuous assessment, when we have internal assessment, where students are made to do their presentations in front of everyone, because you have to understand that we cater to all stratas of society. And by the end of third year or fourth year, the endeavor is that there is a very positive peer influence. I have seen in my 30 years of experience at SRCC, even in 2 months, a student who may come from a government school background or a humble background or even vernacular medium student, particularly Hindi, we have. So they cope up. The only thing is what is important is that here we are providing them the environment. That is very important. So the curriculum reforms is one of them. And then, ma'am, central universities are also encouraging research. That is a point where I think almost all the universities in India were lacking, particularly central universities. Now, Delhi University, I can talk about, and of course, other universities also looking at international recognition by participating in frameworks, ranking frameworks, not international, national, but national QS ranking. So when you talk about QS ranking, our vice chancellor is pushing research. He's, in fact, I wouldn't say pushing, it's a very positive thing in a positive manner. He's encouraging research. So there are research grants now, which were kind of unheard of.
Sorry, Dr. Jha, I'd like to pause you for a minute. I want to ask you a question on this. Does research really play a very, very important role in employability?
Yes, ma'am. It does. As of now, as I've said, central universities are at a very nascent stage. IITs, I'm not talking of IITs and IIMs, where research funding has always been there, or private universities or American universities. But it does. For example, let us say that I am doing research in corporate social responsibility or in marketing. I'm bringing that to classroom. That basically develops a kind of it gives an impetus to the students to research. And the moment when you say research, Mr. Ali just said questioning mindset. So when there is a research problem, they are asking relevant questions. So it's basically when you're bringing research to the classroom, there is cognitive development of the students, which is very, very important for a research mindset to me.
Yeah.
And as I'm talking about inclusivity, ma'am, inclusivity, of course, we cater to all the strata of society. And then we have our seat metrics also is governed by constitutional obligations. So that is very important for equity in education, which is one of the goals of NEP 2020 as well, ma'am.
I think when I think about SRCC, I think of SRCC as a very strong, rigorous academic curriculum, and the shaping actually the academic foundations, creating confident students. That's what I think of when I think of SRCC. Which brings me now to the next question: is how and when students actually access global exposure. For that, I would like to ask Justin. Justin has just joined us right now. Justin, in the US, students can take college credits while they're still in high school. And some do it to increase their GPA, while some do it to fill in the gaps of the eligibility criteria. How does this prepare the students for college readiness as well as their career? Justin, are you there? I just saw you.
Yes, I am there. Can you repeat the question one more time, Nirika?
Yeah, sure. So the question here is, in the US, students are taking college credits, right? While they're still in high school, which comes under the dual enrollment program. Some do it to increase their GPA, and some do it to fill in the gaps of eligibility criteria based on the program that they want to apply to. So how does this prepare the students for college readiness as well as their career? For instance, I don't want to answer this. This is my understanding. So I'm going to leave the answer to you, Justin, if you can, give us more clarity on this question.
Yeah, absolutely. So it really does help students in many different ways. So one of the main ways is that the students who do the program, remember, they're taking college credits while they're still in high school. So what this does is it allows them to have exposure to a lot of different courses before they actually go on and choose a major, and get started in the college life. By the time the student actually goes to college, they're in a new environment. They're usually living on the campus. It's a whole new way of life, and they have many different stressors. And by that point, sometimes the students, usually they've already chosen the major, or they feel like I have to choose my major as soon as possible. But students that do the early college program, like the program that we do, the Marquette University Explorer program, those students are exposed to a wide depth of courses and a wide breadth of courses. So they really get to, while they're still in high school, see what a lot of the potential future careers that they might be doing, see what the courses that lead to those careers are like. So they take those courses, they see, hey, this is something I really like. I do want to major in this program. And really, for students to go on to have great success in whatever major they choose to do, having a passion for what they do is really important. It's extremely important, especially for the people that are really going to go on and make a huge difference in the world, the people that will, make a tremendous impact in their field. They have to have a passion. So therefore, choosing the right major is incredibly important. So students in our program, they have that exposure to a wide variety of classes, and that certainly helps them choose the major. Additionally,
sorry, so you mean to say they can experiment with their courses before choosing the final major, right? Especially for those universities, those countries which offer just 3-year degrees and there is no flexibility in the curriculum. Are you trying to say that?
That's right. Yeah, they were exposed to different courses. That's one aspect. Yeah.
And what about the credibility of these credits? I just want people to know about this because I'm not sure whether they know what the credit system is all about. So can you just briefly describe to the audience what are credits and what is the credibility of these credits?
Yeah, absolutely. So the concept of the program that I'm talking about, it's a general program referred to as early college, which is, if you've heard of things like AP or IB or these kind of programs, it's exactly the same as that in concept, and that students are able to take 4 credit college courses while they're still in high school. Our particular program is referred to as dual enrollment, which means that students are enrolled in a high school and a university credit course at the same time for the same course. So we at Marquette University, Marquette is a top 85 ranked U.S. university, accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, which is the major accrediting body here in the U.S. So these are official Marquette University courses, and because Marquette is a well-known university across the U.S., the credits are transferable to any university in the U.S. That accepts credits that the students might want to go to. So these are official U.S. university courses, and students can take these courses while they're still in high school, and they actually get official Marquette transcript. And if they are to go transfer to another university, it's exactly like they took the course on the campus. Essentially, they're transferring credit they took from one university to another.
Dr. Ramanan, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, Flame University operates on a credit system. If it is 3 years, it's 120 credits, and 4 years, 160 credits. So we do, having my experiences in US in a big public university, I can see the credits are like Dr. Justin put it, did have like some validity, but we always worry about it. But in the Indian system, for places which is not credit based, it's a challenge. And I know the new NEP policy says we should provide a certificate at the end of each year so students can take this certificate to other institutions and then do that. We are evolving towards that in India at present.
No, but I'm not talking here about transferring the credits. I'm talking about acknowledging these credits.
Correct.
Like, for instance, if a student has not done math in grade 12 and lands up doing these credit courses by Marquette University in Calculus 101 or whatever courses that they have to fit the bill of the math requirement, should that not be accepted or acknowledged by your university or by Ashoka? How does it go?
I think we do acknowledge that. We don't, I mean, there are 2 or 3 ways you can look at it. When students bring these credits, we do acknowledge, and then we allow them to go for the next level of courses. I mean, what you are talking most of the time is like a prerequisite calculus or finite math. You can talk about any, I mean, there are other things, language and other things too. I don't want to offend non-math people, but we do acknowledge it. But we are right now not in a position to say, because you brought these credits, you can do less credits with this. We still
no, I'm not talking about less credits. For instance, we have I was having a talk with Vishal, and he said to get into the business program of University of Southampton, you need to have math. And if a kid has not studied math for whatever reasons in the 11th and 12th and has done these credit courses, can that be accepted as a math course done to get into the program of their choice?
Yes.
Or they can never do business just because they did not do math?
It's a very good question, and we are grappling with. I mean, we do allow that. We allow that. The flame philosophy is you don't choose a major at the end of the first year, and no school, all the 5 schools have no right to say no to any student. So even if you don't have math, or if you bring it, so the business school will allow, or any school for that matter, will allow credit to. I mean, acknowledge that we don't put an artificial barrier to say you didn't do the math with us, so you can't get into my school. So that's very clear. Of course, the faculty in those disciplines object quite a bit, saying the usual, it's not as high quality. I'm not talking about one particular university. When they bring in from other places and then say we have met the requirement, we do tell them like you cannot stop a student from doing the major because they do have the background in it. So that is one big attraction at Flame is given we try to follow the credit system. But like I said, like you said, we do accept it here and there is no artificial barrier. We don't have engineering, which allows us a little bit more liberal. Having been an engineer, I believe they are
Yes, of
always very
course.
tough, but we do allow student to fluidly move to take any major or minor without any restrictions. Fluidly move to take any major or minor without any restrictions.
Okay, great. That's great. We are going to move on to the next question of mine, which is to Vishal about, what opportunities, since you are you've set up a satellite international branch campus in Gurgaon. I would like to ask you, what opportunities do international branch campuses such as yours in India can unlock for the students who are really seeking global education without relocating abroad?
So thanks very much. I think this is a very valid question. And of course, post the new education policy and of course the foreign higher education regulations, universities such as ours have been able to come along to India, and it's very exciting for us. So I think if you look at foreign universities, international branch campuses being set up in the country, I think it provides a definite middle path for students who would like to have the same degree, the same curriculum, assessment standards, the academic quality assurance, but without necessarily having to leave home, right? So this is one of the primary drivers, for why a student or anybody else would want to consider studying at a place, like an international branch campus of a university. What you also have to add to the mix is, the fact that there are global faculty with global classrooms, whether that be full-time faculty, whether that be faculties on secondment, whether that be, faculty who are working in tandem with faculty here. I think this also gives an opportunity. International branch campuses also give an opportunity for a lot of faculty to be able to come along to India, whether they be expatriate faculty, whether they be Indian faculty. So I think this by itself will also add to the ecosystem of higher education, in the country. At the same time, I think we should also not forget that there's definitely, cost arbitrage without any kind of compromise. So if you're talking about similar standards, if you're talking about the same quality assurance, the same curriculum, the same way of moderating, the same examination systems, the same quality assurance alignment between, let's say in this case, the universities in the UK as well as Southampton in India, I think it is definitely without any kind of compromise. What you also have to remember is, and something that everybody's spoken about over here, is the employability piece. So the nature of the curriculum, how it's delivered in the classroom, how you're able to create more reflection, in the student, whether that be at the undergrad level or at the postgrad level. I think all that actually enables more employability. You coming back to your point earlier about problem solving, critical thinking, in the age of AI. If you are able to do pieces of work which are very reflective, if you're able to do pieces of work which require a lot of depth, this is where it brings in the relevance of research. And I think you were discussing earlier about whether research at all is important for students. I think the approach to research about how do I define problems, how do I solve the problems, how do I think about them multidimensionally actually enables a lot better employability outcomes as well. Now, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, whether you want to get into the corporate world, I think more depth, more reflection actually enables better employability. At the same time, it is also about being able to enable global mobility outcomes. And this is something that all international branch campuses, including ours, is very conscious of. How do you ensure that students are able to transition or able to have an academic exchange within other contexts? That also becomes important, because that kind of experience is also very, very useful. The other thing that international branch campuses are able to do very effectively is to be able to open up their networks, whether that be for research, whether that be for innovation, whether that be for alumni networks as well, for example. So a lot of all this within the context of more cultural familiarity, within the context of stronger employability outcomes that a country like India is able to provide, actually is definitely a positive for students who are thinking about international branch campuses, in the country.
So are they, sorry, Vishal, sorry to interrupt you, but what about when we talk about global employability and access to global markets for jobs, apart from just studying in India? That's what makes it, because you have straight connections, industry interface there. But what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to internships and it comes to, Gaurav was talking about how important it is, the internships, industry experience for them to really sink into the real world. Have any of you all, whether it could be Ashoka or it could be Flame or it could be Southampton here, thought about incorporating a co-op program, like a sandwich program, which you have in the US, or a 6-month internship, or a 6-month internship program, to give them that hands-on experience and make them more capable for the industry? Did anyone think about integrating that kind of a co-op program in their curriculum?
Well, I can speak for University of Southampton, Delhi. We have, whether that be at the undergrad level or whether that be at the postgrad level, we are able to integrate this, within the curriculum, what we call as SIPs, or, short internship, projects. Whether, like I said, at the UG level or the PG level, we are able to integrate. Our Successful Futures program is able to work with every one of the students, give them the right kind of practical input, whether that be in the classroom, whether that be working on specific projects with the industry, mentored by the academics as well as by the industry. So I absolutely am with you on that. I think apart from being able to build in depth, having a view of the industry, having worked in the industry, having an experience of how the industries function, actually enable a much better, what I would call as a career outcome. And I think, at University of Southampton, we've been able to enable that at specific periods of time within the curriculum.
Great. Thank you so much, Vishal, for that fresh insight. But I would like to ask Ali about this. What does internationalization at home really look like in practice for students who may not study abroad but still want the global exposure? How do they get that?
So, because I also have the Office of Global Education in my portfolio, we offer students the opportunity to either do a summer abroad or a semester abroad.
So those who don't go abroad, what if the student doesn't go abroad or doesn't have any kind of physical travel exposure? What is the kind of experience that you can give to them while they're here in India?
So there are some programs that we run, which are in partnership with foreign universities, which are delivered virtually. Obviously, you can't give the campus experience there because the students are here, but the faculty who talks to them on that session or a series of sessions is the faculty from the partner university, and they are being taught as per the norms of the partner university. But the actual physical experience obviously is through the summer abroad and semester abroad programs, which is what is growing every year. We also have, of course, a lot of visiting faculty from overseas who impart education to them using the same tools and the same process as they would back home in their parent universities. So I don't know if that answers your question, but in the absence of a physical experience, that's really as much as we can do. We do have, though, some partnerships where our students are doing research as part of a live project, which is being run in partnership with a foreign university. And there they actually get to interact with the foreign faculty, do research under their guidance, and also present virtually. In some cases, they actually get to go and present there, which would be only a week, but still, I mean, that's the experience that they get.
So how can interdisciplinary education prepare the students for careers that do not yet exist, but are likely to emerge soon? So I'd like you to answer that question for me, Dr. Venkatraman.
I will try best. If I know the magic formula, I will probably be selling it to everybody for great profit. I mean, but in sincere answer is the interdisciplinary, there is always like a gap to explain this to the students as well as the parents. By nature, students are curious. For example, people will come and say, I'm going to be majoring in econ or finance, but I would like to do something in environmental sciences, or for that matter, understanding the ancient Indian art or something like that. We facilitate that as much as we can. In fact, we insist on it. For example, even sports for non-credit, to understand teamwork not in academic setting, non-academic setting, how you do it. So initially, there is always a reluctance on both parts of students, and especially parents. When you talk to them, they'll say like, why is my kid wasting their valuable credit hours in some other area? But we encourage them to reflect on their own career at times, and reflect on how the intersections allow us to understand various things. We talk about investing in markets because a lot of them come from business community. Why did you choose a company to invest in when other people are willing to sell the same? So there are people looking at the same data, making two different interpretations based on their rounded knowledge. And we can show them the people who have like a lot more interdisciplinary approach over a period of time do much better in stock investing than people who only know finance without any idea of where the world is going. So
that is something which I as a counselor always have a problem in explaining the importance of an interdisciplinary learning, because then they feel that they're not being focused on one particular area, like a degree program. So, but they don't understand that actually they're preparing themselves with a holistic learning of a wider range of subjects and information than just one relevant one.
I agree with you. Like, it's a very tough thing to explain. Yes. The same thing we will talk about design, because everybody will say design means I need to only know design. Why should I be interested in music, or why should I be interested in something else? But then if you look at, like, you can, obviously the most used example is Apple. You can say probably Steve Jobs had no idea what engineering means, but he had this vision, a phone should do multiple things.
Yeah, also, I agree with you.
Yeah, you can tell them about it. And also even like places like Kodak and HP in US who gave away their intellectual rights, and even AT&T, their cell phone, because they were only looking at an engineering problem. They didn't realize how this is going to be impacted. In fact, my close friend used to run AT&T. He said like he gave away after a consumer survey which said, I don't want people calling me during dinner. Why am I going to carry the phone around now? I mean, he said like I gave the intellectual property to Verizon, but then later he didn't visualize. Whereas on the other hand, other people like Verizon and Apple and Samsung thought, okay, I'm going to make a killing. People could be wrong, but I think it is the interest. It is the expanded knowledge. So I try to give them, especially when I address the parents when they come in, this is the philosophy behind liberal education. It's not
sorry to pause you on that, Professor. Sure. Thank you so much. I mean, yes, it was so important to hear from you the real explanation of interdisciplinary learning, because that's a question which I get to hear a lot. And Justin is right here, he stays in China a lot. And I wanted to ask him that how do the Chinese students feel about the experiential learning and how is it incorporated in their curriculum, because I feel that Yes, when we have 4 years of learning, when we have flexibility in a curriculum, like the way Flame and Ashoka has, where they have a core curriculum, which gives them the flexibility to move into different areas, unlike Central University, then we can also look at the interdisciplinary part and sustainable part, right? Yes, so I want to ask, coming back to this very, very important question, which is our core question, is that how do students actually find the right fit for the long-term impact? I mean, they're confused, right? We talked about interdisciplinary programs, we talked about study abroad, global exposure, internships, requirements of the industry. We talked about different pathways. We talked about college readiness by taking credits. We talked about, interdisciplinary core, flexibility in curriculum programs. We talked about foreign universities setting up their campuses here and what they are offering, as well as our legacy, I would say legacy institutions. The biggest dilemma with the students face is, what is the right pathway? What am I looking for? And which is a university which is going to be the best fit for me? Like, for instance, Mario, should I go abroad? What am I going to learn there, which will help me to grow and advance and make me future readiness, vis-a-vis if I stay in India and maybe go to a top tier private university like Ashoka or Flame, or even to SRCC, what would be a good fit? Because they need to start planning from before. They cannot do that last minute. Their planning starts from the 9th grade as to which university, where to study, what to study, how to study, and how to prepare for that particular university. So in this kind of a situation, Professor Jha, I would like you to give your fresh insights about this.
What you're saying, Niharika, is actually a dilemma which students face. And believe me, it does not end with admission to the university. The dilemma is even in these 3 years. What next is always a question which even undergrads face. So for this is something, a lot of counseling has to be there, and students it's a continuous path of discovering what they want. We all have children. I can tell you, I can vouch for my daughter and my son. I have a daughter and a son. They both, when they were in class 9th, they had a different career goals. And even for my daughter, when she joined a particular course, she joined with a particular thing, a career path in her. For her, she had a mind that, okay, let us say if I'm doing BCom honors, I want to be a chartered accountant. But when she when she studied in second year subjects, which she thought that, okay, I have to do income tax and accounts throughout my life, I'm not interested. So what is important is, and then she changed her choice and her career path. What is important is for parents, it's not on the student alone, it's not on the child alone. For parents, for society, for friends, for relatives, it's basically to encourage student, what do they want to explore, and be a partner in their choice.
But they're also confused, Professor Jha. 1 minute it is one thing, because there's so many availability of different choices.
Niharika, just allow them. Only the problem is we kind of Indian mentality is make the decisions fast about your career. That is what, as parents, as society, we push the students. Just imagine an average age of an American who is doing an MBA, who enrolls in MBA, is 27 years, while in India it is just 22 years. So we just push them. This is what I personally feel, to make choices very early in life. And then now, of course, when we were students, there were water-type compartment, either science, either commerce or arts, with liberal arts, with multidisciplinarity being encouraged. I think students can make more informed choices. So role of parents, school teachers, college teachers,
but friends, it is more complex than you think. It's very complex, with this evolving educational landscape. I think sometimes it leads to more confusion, but yes, counselors, educationists have to be guiding them, hand-holding them, giving them the necessary experiences and the exposure, which will take them, or at least help them identify some of that path which they're looking at. I would just like to ask, as a closing thing before we close the discussion, that if you had to offer one piece of advice to students and families navigating the higher education choices today, what would it be? Now, I know Professor Jha has already talked to us about it. I would like to start from Vishal. Vishal, 1 minute.
So I think, anyone choosing to look at undergraduate education in the next few years, or, even next year, or even the masters for that matter, I think they'll have to make very, very calculated decisions, right? It's not easy. It's not going to be easy because that's going to define possibly, many years ahead. But I think, like you said, it's a lot of indecision, a lot of confusion exists, and that requires much stronger mentoring, not just at the school level, but also at the university level. So I think if you look at a lot of progressive universities, including international branch campuses, they've been able to keep constitute very strong, robust wellness as well as counseling systems, right? Counseling system, not just about placement counseling at universities or business schools, but also, wellness counseling, where, the kind of mentoring, the kind of guidance that's required is paramount, is important. But I think I would request people, when they're looking at higher education institution, is to nudge towards what's your goal, right? What is it that you would like to achieve? What is it that you would like to do? Are you looking at, at the global context? Are you looking at the Indian context? Are you looking at, trying to exist in a role possibly in the Indian context, but with a global exposure? Are you looking at, looking at corporate roles? Are you looking at, searching first? Are you looking at entrepreneurship? A lot of these things become fundamentally very important because that then helps you shape your direction as well, right? I think, Alice in Wonderland, there's a particular, line over there which says that, any path is okay if you don't know where you're going, right? But I think the onus is on us, the onus is on parents, the onus is on counselors to be able to nudge, to be able to mentor, and to be able to sit down patiently with the students and help them understand the spectrum and the context and the direction.
Thank you so much, Vishal. I'd like to ask you, Ali, as to what your opinion or perspective about this is.
So, we face this every year. We are facing this even now. We meet so many parents, much like most of the panel must be. And I'm obviously a little biased when I give my response to you, but I think because our system forces students into channels quite early. We're talking about 17, 18-year-olds, and many of the students that we meet honestly don't know what they want to do. And the parents want to ensure that at the age of 17 or 18, their entire course of life is laid out, which also is impossible. So as far as I can only speak from my lens, and by the way, I'm also a parent, as you correctly said earlier, it helps if the child knows some direction, but very often they won't. So if the university that you're entering them in gives them the chance to look around a little bit before choosing, it helps. Now, it's not possible in every case, but increasingly, now with the NEP also, which is a very enlightened document saying all universities must become interdisciplinary, it is necessary for the child to be able to explore a little bit before they decide. And in the case of Flame and in the case of Ashoka, you don't have to even declare a major for the first 2 semesters or the first 3 semesters. So you have enough time to look around, to do courses which are compulsory, which are foundation courses in the case of Ashoka, and to understand what really attracts you. And only then choose. Because honestly, to predict at the beginning of 4 years, like they say about medical college, for example, today, that the doctors of the future, by the time they graduate, everything they learned in medical college is going to be outdated. So how on earth is that preparing you for anything? Given the amount of technology which is coming into medicine, I don't mean any disrespect.
I agree with you.
You know what
I
I'm
agree
saying?
with you completely, Ali, on this point, because I would say it's quite unfair because there are now so many courses, so many streams, so many majors and minors, and I mean, till the kids is not exactly goes into the depth of that subject or gets relevant exposure or experience, it's very hard for them to make that decision as to what they want to study,
I think most of them have been answered with all the questions and answers that.
Okay, fine, great. So, Ritika, now I pass it on to you. I mean, we do have actually 3 students here who would like to have a brief say about their experience. It won't take long. So we have Vanshika here. Vanshika, you can unmute yourself. She's from, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Greetings, everyone, greetings, panelists, and the respected guests. Thank you for the opportunity for me to share my student experience. I am Vanshika Siroi from University of Southampton, Delhi, and I am currently pursuing BSc Accounting and Finance. Being part of the founding cohort has actually been very positive and enriching experience for me. We're stepping into a UK-based education system with wider academics and personal landscapes to explore, something which most of us had never experienced before. I still remember that during the orientation sessions, during the orientation week, one of our professors asked us why we looked a little intimidated, to which all of us replied that, stepping into a new horizon after being accustomed to learning pattern for years has been a little intimidating for us, and first steps are always a little scary. Something she said which stayed with me still date is that your very choice and a very conscious choice of coming here is like popping that bubble. And from here on, it's just upwards. The University of Southampton, particularly, I would say, opens doors to a lot of opportunities and it just prepares me for the world beyond books. Like, it's when I'm representing my university, be it as the ambassador or giving a review, I realize that in just a few months, I've evolved in terms of interacting, presenting myself, or just speaking in general. It just comes very naturally to me. Like watching the campus being built from scratch to now just calling it as a home, it just feels very special to me. And also one of the most highlighting experiences at University of Southampton has been that we get to choose our very own clubs, activities, and we get to coordinate with teams, adjust to the UK education, and adapt to how it blends well with Indian education systems, like organize events, be it academics or beyond that. And even on days of comfort, we have such closeness among students, including the MSc peers for that matter, because they come from a different journey. They feel very supportive, very inclusive. So on days where we feel a little discomfort, it just gets less intimidating having them also around and such mentors.
Thank you so much, Vanshika. That was really insightful about Southampton. I mean, you're the first student I'm interacting with from that university in Gurgaon. Shishri, let's hear what you have to say.
Greetings to everyone. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. So when we talk about the questions,
which university are you from? I mean, where are you from?
I'm a third-year economics honors student at SRCC.
I see. Okay.
So when we talk about questions that what one should study, where should study, and what is the right pathway, I think the University of Delhi and SRCC continue to be extremely relevant. Over the past few years, Delhi University has changed a lot, both in structure and thinking. But still, I feel one of its biggest strengths is its affordability, as already highlighted by Professor Jha, with quality, something that is becoming rare across the world. DU has managed to stay accessible, but also raising academic standards. With the introduction of the NEP, there has been a shift. We have been introduced to courses like skill enhancement course, ability enhancement course, and value addition course. So on one side, along with our core subjects, we are learning skills such as Python, R, data analysis, photography, and at the same time, we are engaging with courses on ethics, communication, negotiation, problem solving, as you rightly highlighted some time back, fitness, well-being, and even happiness. Most important thing that I want to highlight is our faculty. They mentor us, they push us to think critically, and they guide us well beyond the syllabus. We have a faculty named Mr. Rohit. He is 24/7. Literally, he's 24/7 available because he lives in the teachers' quarter here. He guides students so well, and he's not the only one. In general, the faculty is really supportive. And apart from that, it's not just the academics, but also co-curricular environment. As ma'am highlighted about the student societies, Enactus SRCC recently won the national title, and it participated in the World Cup with 7 other teams at Kazakhstan. Our placement cell, which is really very prestigious, it continues to deliver strong results year after year. Our economic society hosts the largest economic summit in Asia. Our business conclave, which is organized by the Students' Union, hosts distinguished policymakers, leaders, even global leaders. Office of International Programs organizes cross-cultural events, as ma'am highlighted. So it's this ecosystem which explains why DU and SRCC alums have done well everywhere in civil services, consulting, politics, academia, and other fields. But legacy alone is not enough, of course. As panelists have rightly highlighted, that technology and AI are changing how we are learning and working. And it's high time that DU should incorporate and strive for better infrastructure, modern training methods, more use of AI, and most importantly, stronger industry exposure. So I'll end with something which one of our professors, Professor Ritu Ranjan, once shared in class. He said that during SRCC's NAC accreditation, the official said that as the times are changing, the institutions like SRCC, which are already excelling in their field, they should not focus on learning, but more importantly, on helping students realize their own potential, much like how Jamwan reminded Hanuman of his strength. So that's all from my side. Hope it helped. Thank you so much.
That was really wonderful, Shrishti. Amazing to hear you speak so confidently about SRCC, and that's what makes SRCC so unique, I guess. We now have Khushi from Flame, and she has a few words to say about Flame.
Hi everyone, my name is Khushi Oza. I'm a third-year undergraduate student at Flame University. My major is business analytics and my minor is economics. Firstly, I'm very grateful and very happy to have been part of such an insightful and amazing conversation about the future of higher education and how AI and digital literacy all impact this. Just to add like a student's perspective to this and to maybe add on to how everything that we've discussed in this webinar and so far that everyone has mentioned, Flame has really demonstrated for me, not just in terms of, I would say, the courses or the major minor combinations, but in terms of the way that the entire program is structured. So when I was in the 12th grade and I had to choose what I wanted to do, I just thought to myself that how is someone my age expected to choose one stream and then stick with it for the rest of my life and be okay with that decision? And that's when I knew that Flame was it for me, not just because of how many subjects are offered, but just because of the way that the major minor combinations work and the way that in the first year you have the flexibility to take as many courses as you want to explore and then make the decision at the end of the year based on what you like and what interests you the most. And I feel just on top of that, as Mr. Gaurav mentioned, that industry and academia really need to be aligned. And I think that's what Flame has done really well. So we have the summer internship program, which is a mandatory part of our curriculum. And I think a lot of students were really skeptical about why it's a mandatory part because they were like, oh, internships, just the whole process of finding one and getting one and then working for those 2 months is a bit of a hassle. I personally could not have been more grateful for it. From my own example, over I interned at Goldman Sachs, and I think it was genuinely the most amazing time. And most of my projects as an intern there had to do with how to leverage AI to optimize workflow processes and how to use just digital tools in order to optimize the processes that they already have. Now, this is not something that Flame taught me in a classroom, or this is not something any college can teach you, right? But what Flame did teach me was the approach to handle these projects, the way of thinking to go about these things. And I think that's what the most important thing is right now. That's what everyone is looking for. Another example would be that I went for a semester abroad in the past fall semester to Indiana University at the Kelley School of Business. And again, so many of my courses there integrated AI in such a wonderful way. And a lot of people asked me, oh, how were you able to adapt so well? How were you able to change and adapt to the way that they teach there? And my answer was so simple. It was that the way we've been taught at Flame, the way that the Flame program has been structured in such a universal, global way, if, whether you go to a college in India, whether you go to college in any part of the world, it's so universally designed. And the approach that they give here, the approach that the faculty uses to teach you here is just, it just makes you adapt to any sort of situation or any sort of circumstance that you're put in. And again, like in terms of campus life, I don't think anyone needs to be told about how beautiful the Flame campus is or how amazing college life here is. But just in general, like I know a lot of people in India are very skeptical about like a liberal arts approach or like an interdisciplinary major because it's a relatively newer concept. But I feel like if you want to stay in India, but you want to have that experience of how it means to study abroad, just in terms of a major minor way, or just in terms of credits, or all the global exposure opportunities that you keep getting, I feel like these liberal art approaches are the best of both worlds. You get to stay in India, but you also get to experience a Western way of education, the holistic way where you not only get to do internships, but also volunteering programs, semester abroads, and just so many more things. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, rightfully said. Think global and apply local when you're talking about that. So basically, you don't have to go overseas to become a global, and especially when you talk about working in cross-cultural teams, right? Look at India. India is so diverse. You know,
absolutely.
where dialect changes every 100 kilometers. You know, we do so many different languages. So when we talk about diversity, there could be no other bigger country than India when it comes to diversity. But cross-cultural, you know, knowledge of different cultures to be able to work through that, those teams are very, very important. I believe, yeah, thank you so much. We are running a little short of time. So I would just like to kind of conclude it with a closing remark that today's discussion wasn't just about where I would say students study, but it is about learning, how learning is evolving through new formats, interdisciplinary approaches, global partnership, and outcome-driven education. So together, it invites the students, the families, the counselors, and educators to really make sense of this ever-changing landscape by balancing the industry exposure, employability, flexibility, and rigor. So in my opinion, I also feel that it is very, very important that all universities should take that special initiative or linking with the industries very, very closely for projects as well as case projects, as well as any kind of associations or interactions down to internships, because it will prepare the students better for tomorrow. So as we close today's conversation, one message stands out clearly, that the future belongs to the learners who are adaptable, globally aware, and deeply engaged in the real world. So the best education pathway is no longer the most traditional or the most famous or more popular ones. It is a pathway that aligns your skills, your exposure, your affordability, and your opportunity. Basically, you need to look at the whole thing like an ROI, return on investment. So a word of advice from my end to the students would be, ask better questions about learning and outcomes. And for parents, it would be support exploration and not just reputation. For educators and institutions, the future lies in relevance and collaboration. So thank you, our distinguished guests, FiciFlo, and everyone who joined us today. We are not done as yet. Thank you so much, Khushi. That was really insightful. Thank you. I pass on the baton to Ritika now.
Thank you. As we conclude this session, I would like to sincerely thank all our distinguished panelists for sharing such thoughtful, various perspectives on internationalization, institutional partnerships, and student preparedness for a global future. Your insights have truly added depth and direction to this important conversation. It's not only about campuses crossing borders, but about ideas, opportunities, and student futures expanding beyond boundaries. Immensely grateful to our National President, Mrs. Poonam Sharma, and the Presidium for giving me the opportunity to host this empowering session. Big thank you to the past chairs and to the governing body members for always giving their support and encouragement. Heartfelt thank you to the FiciFlo Secretariat, ED Mrs. Rashmi Sarita and her efficient team, Anshu, Ankurita, Bhavna, and especially Natasha, for making sure that everything functions smoothly from coordination to communication. A big thank you to our moderator of the session and fellow FiciFlo member, Mrs. Niharika Sondi, and her team at Ednet Consultants for coordinating and conducting this insightful session. And a big thank you to the 3 students who chose to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really great talking to you all.
Yeah, thank you. It
It
has
was
really
a
been
wonderful
enriching.
session. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Niharika and
Thank you.
Ritika Saloni here. Very good session.
Thank you.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.